Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Soroptimists International of Trinity County, welcome to this Candidates Night. Candidates, thank you for your participation, and audience, thank you for your participation. And just so you know a little about Soroptimists, we are a service organization dedicated to improving the lives of women and girls through education and advocacy, and we are very excited to be here to help celebrate this 100th year of the women's right to vote in the United States. To the stage.
Well, as Quincy said, welcome to the Trinity Health Performing Arts Center. We've got some great shows coming up, by the way, but tonight we've got great information for people that have put their foot forward to ask for your vote. It's my pleasure to introduce the moderator, who I've known for a good number of years, who happens to be the County Superintendent of Schools, and I know a little bit about that position. I think I was elected 5 times, I'm not sure, maybe 4. But it's a pleasure to introduce tonight our wonderful County Superintendent of Schools. How about a warm welcome for Sarah Sapahan?
I'm just always following Jim. Right. Thank you, Jim. And thanks to the Soroptimists. I think this is an important community service that they do for our community. And I really appreciate that. I hope everybody else does as well. They're out here at every election doing this for us, putting on this kind of a forum. So thank you to all of you who work so hard to do that. Our format for tonight is there'll be candidates' opening statements. You'll each have 3 minutes, and somewhere there's a timer right there. So you'll know when you get close how much time you have left. Then once that's over, there's a lot of questions here for all of you. I'll be asking questions. Some of them will be consolidated from the audience because there's some that are fairly similar. And you'll have 2 minutes each to answer those. And at this point, it looks like I can ask those of all of you, the same questions of all of you, because they would be appropriate for every district. And then somewhere in there, we'll be taking a break about halfway through. Your closing remarks then will be at the end, and you have 3 minutes for those. And this is the time that you can use for a closing statement or to elaborate on a previous answer, whatever you'd like to do. Okay? With that said, I think we can begin. So, in fairness, I think what we'll do is start at that end, and then as I ask questions, I'll try to rotate through. Okay? So if you'd like to start down at the end there.
Do we move the microphone?
Yes.
Yes, please. Okay. Yes.
How's this? Good? Yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm Diane Richards from Hayfork, running for Supervisor District 5. I am a mother first. That's my greatest achievement of 6 kids. And I'm a rancher and a businesswoman. And I first became politically active, at least locally. I've been active internationally and statewide. But I became active locally really because of the fires. I believe that we are facing catastrophic fire risk, like we've seen in Paradise and Redding, and so many years ago I became active and got my family volunteering at the fire district, etc. I think that we really need to address this. We can't wait till the fire comes. We have to be preparing for it and treating our forest. And I know that the local government does have an ability to have a seat at that table, the federal table, and we need to invoke coordination instead of collaboration in order for us to have an equal seat there. Also, I am aware of many violations of law that the local government is involved with, illegal payments, illegal misappropriation of public funds. Give you an example, our net position in 2010 was $152 million the county had, and now, 9 years later, it's only $32 million. I'd like to find out where that money is. And that is part of what the supervisors are supposed to do, be responsible for the monies and provide services to the people, whether it's roads, power, water. That is a responsibility, and I think they're neglecting it, particularly in District 5. So I'm running to try and get these things squared away for the county. Again, thank you for coming, and I look forward to questions afterwards. Ask me anything afterwards. Thank you very much.
Well, hello, and thanks for being here. My name's Michael Daniel Frazier. Most of you that know me by Dan. I've been on the Planning Commission now for in the neighborhood of 6 years. I'm not exactly sure. I got involved in politics locally. The first I did was the Measure Z oversight for our school bond in Southern Trinity. Then I went to the Southern Trinity Volunteer Fire Department Board. At the same time, I started fighting against some stuff at the state level and working with John Finley. He asked me if I'd be interested in joining the Planning Commission, so I said I would, and I've actually really enjoyed it, as strange as that may seem to some that have been to all the meetings. I enjoyed the back and forth. I enjoy hearing what people have to say and what the desires are of the people in my district, and then trying to come to a working agreement between all those different people. The biggest concerns I have for my district at this point, District 5 roads are to the point where they're unsafe, especially in the far south county, Kettenpalm area, Xenia, Mad River, Van Dusen. The roads are almost impassable in some places, and absolute lack of law enforcement, and the volunteer fire departments are also in need of basic stuff like communication ability, where we have no radio repeaters. So I would like to see some of that stuff from the county level worked on. Public safety, number one, and would be interested in serving as the supervisor from District 5. If there's anybody from District 5 that happens to be here, I would be more than happy to answer any questions you have during the break or after the completion of this night.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to the Soroptimists celebrating their 100-year anniversary, and I commend you on a woman moderator. Way to go. 2016, District 3 chose me to represent them for the Trinity County Board of Supervisors. It has been an honor and a privilege. 3 people were running, 1 was an incumbent and the chair. I won in the June primary. Soon after, I was told to my face by the established good old boys what my problem was. I am a woman. While waiting to be seated, I had my ranch field fencing cut, my dogs poisoned and killed, attempted bribery, and many threats, etc. I took my seat in January 2017, yet it wasn't until the end of March, nearly 9 months later, I got my office in the basement. I am still in the basement. In part, I was sent there to share the hopes for the cannabis cultivation from District 3's perspective. However, I was excluded from the conversation before I even got started. It has been 3 years. Lessons learned, the rules are not equally applied then or now. The Good Old Boys Club has run Trinity County into the ground. The same people sit, or their spouses sit, on the important seats, ruling Trinity County. I'm sure I will be castigated for breaching the silence. I have stood alone on the dais only to watch my vote in the negative be flipped to the affirmative. I have argued for the Waterworks District 1 carve-outs to be eliminated, won the majority vote only to see it reversed weeks later, as though it did not happen at all. I could continue with multiple stories, all too many times being in the minority on the dais. That never stopped me from doing my homework, being prepared, and showing up. Never held a grudge, always tried to do what was in the best interest for Trinity. Friends have been threatened, even beat. Home invasions, animals injured, all to get me to behave. I am sick of it. I am fighting for you, Trinity. I have not received any funding from anybody buying my allegiance or any group. Whether it's in Washington, D.C. or in California, I have and I will work full-time in the hopes for a better future. The sampling of District 3 this past year, not all the events, 7 in Hayfork, CWPP meeting at the Douglas City Fire Station, Poker Bar, we held our first multi-agency community neighborhood fire safety meeting. Happy to say that we have a grant for that community for fire resilience. On top of the grade, the 3rd annual neighborhood community fire safety meeting. This year we added a barbecue. Top of the grade neighborhoods, along with the help of our local sheriffs, thwarted a burglary targeted at many of those residents. The following day, I met with several of the community members and listened to their concerns. That following night, I stayed with them in their homes in Top of the Grade to show my solidarity for that community. This is but a sampling of the events that I either have helped put on or participated in. I'll stop.
Hello, my name is Liam Gogan. I'm running for Supervisor of District 3. And before I introduce myself and my platform, I'd first like to thank all of you for coming tonight. It is because of citizens like you that will help make a difference. I'd also like to thank the Soroptimist Alliance Club for allowing us to use this venue and our moderator, Sarah. All my supporters who encouraged me to do this and bring some much needed change to Trinity County, especially my wife and son, for really stepping up. I moved to Trinity County in 1992. I raised my son here and have maintained 2 successful businesses for decades right here in District 3. I have seen so much change over these decades, and I believe my history here can bring some much needed insight and common sense to the Board of Supervisors. As the owner-operator of the Douglas City store for 22 years, I've talked to a lot of people from Hayfork, Douglas City, High and Palm, from everywhere in this county. I have a unique perspective on the fabric of this community. As a businessman, I also understand the basic supply and demand economics. As a professional fishing guide on the Trinity River for 28 years and president of the Trinity River Guides Association, as well as a member of TAMWAG, a stakeholders group that makes suggestions to the Trinity River Restoration Program, I have seen $250 million wasted by the government and an industry destroyed. This industry also fed countless other local businesses that have fallen by the wayside due to this waste and mismanagement. Why am I running for supervisor? I think we're better than this. Our current Board of Supervisors is not getting the job done. We Trinity County folks deserve the lifestyle our natural resources should be treating us to. The promises I know I can make to you are these. Number 1, common sense. Number 2, transparency, which there is none now. Number 3, collaboration. It's what I do every day at my job, both of them. Smart cannabis ordinance reform. We need to make tax dollars, and we will find a way to do that. Wiser spending of our taxpayers' dollars. Attempt to revitalize tourism. Lastly, I want to say, please come talk to me. Come into my store anytime. Call or email me. Come to the town halls I'll be holding in both communities every month. Being available to you is the least I can do for you, especially with these big decisions we will be facing in the coming years. I do also hope you will read the letters of support that are coming out in the journal and join those folks who know we need change, and I believe that I can get the job done. The only reason I'm running is because I see change our county needs with a common sense approach, and I know I can make our county a better place to live. Thank you.
Can you hear me fine? Hi, I'm Melanie Miller, and I moved to Trinity County in 1987. Before that, I was the first woman oil refinery equipment inspector at Chevron Richmond Refinery with 2,500 other employees that I worked with. I worked with government agencies, I went to night college to learn metallurgy, ultrasound, everything for non-destructive examination. The whole job was working with environmental groups, county, state. Wow, I just lost my whole thought of all that life. Thank you. With working with that many people and being the first woman there, I learned to communicate and really be able to work very well with all the other workers, because the job of inspection is finding problems and then giving solutions. After moving up here to Trinity County, I moved here before the shopping center, before the housing development, when Tops was an Ace, Ace was at Evergreen, and we were buying washers and dryers from Bill Talkington at Sears. I've been here a while. What's nice is always communicating with people and seeing what our issues are, because I've been here so long and heard the complaints. I then started doing stand-up comedy, which I've done for 27 years. Traveled the West Coast all the way through British Columbia. Again, comedy is not just about laughter, it's about truth, and it's about connecting with all types of people. I've had 103 shows here in Trinity County, and when my routine was up, was always about our issues and being able to connect with just regular people. I then opened up Trinideli and had a successful deli for 25 years. With the deli, I dealt with being the owner-operator, vandalism, burglaries, fires, county layoffs, every time working with and trying to find new solutions so that we could keep operating the deli. I never once laid off an employee. I went many times without pay, but my job was to, one, feed you with good food, and then also keep people employed. Now that I'm retired, I have plenty of time to get involved, because most of us don't have the time to find out what the supervisors are doing or what the government's doing. I now have that time. So all I can say is that I did retire in June, but my mouth still has a lot of miles on it. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jill Cox. Thank you for being here this evening. Your presence is a clear indication that you care about the manner in which we move forward as a county, and you want to make informed choices as you vote, and I applaud your diligence. I am a 31-year resident of Trinity County. My husband Kent teaches junior high in Hayfork. I have a bachelor's degree in pen performance and music theory, and I also hold a California State teaching credential. I've been teaching for 31 years. I've also run my own advertising business for 16 years. This has been an education in business function and finance, and has taken me to the bargaining table of corporate CEOs, business owners, and marketing managers, giving me the skill set necessary to build great working relationships and create the ever-important win-win scenarios for our community. The questions to follow will likely address specific concerns, but in this moment I would like to move beyond the current issues, as they are ever-changing, and focus on governing values. I value informed representation. One person from District 2 needs to be our collective voice. My job, if elected, will be to remain just that one voice, and your job will be to appropriately speak your wants, to help educate me on issues and opinions, and to hold me accountable in expressing community consensus. I value the power of collaboration. To date, I have had 45 interviews, including our CAO, our sheriff, our undersheriff, the deputy who provided my ride-along, county department heads, members of the legal, faith, real estate, logging, education, and cannabis communities, the Forest Service, Weaverville, and county chambers of commerce, and both current and retired business owners. I have been seeking information on community and county government challenges and potential solutions. What I found was a vast array of extremely knowledgeable, experienced, creative citizens. I would be honored to facilitate the collaboration of these and others, which I believe would produce exciting, positive results. This might not be easy, but I believe it is achievable. I value trust. Trust is choosing to make something that's important to you vulnerable to the actions of somebody else. To gain the trust of another is a high honor, and I would treat your trust with great care. I value vision. To me, it's important not to judge the future within the limitations of the present. So we need a defining and overriding vision of what we want to see our county become, one through which all opportunities, ideas, and proposals get vetted. This is critical because there are so many great ideas out there, but we will be easily sidetracked if we don't have a means by which to separate the urgent from the important and prioritize a sequence of events. I look forward to addressing your specific concerns in the minutes and weeks to follow.
It's my turn now, right? Can everybody hear me? No? Yes? Can?
I don't think your mic's on.
Oh, that's okay. I really don't want to talk to it anyway, so I need microphones. Better standing up, opening my mouth. I'm Tom Fox. I have been asked to run for supervisor of District 2 again, and for all the reasons that everybody has mentioned here. Mostly, we have no representation in our county government, and we need that. We've got serious homeless problems on our streets. We've got drug problems on our streets. We've got a lack of law enforcement, and even what law enforcement we do have, they're not there when we need them. I've called at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll call the sheriff, and I never get a call back. I never get somebody to come out. We've got to change that. We've got to come together as a community and put aside politics, because I'm not a politician at all. In fact, I don't even like it. We've got to understand that the only way that we're going to make change and do things differently is to get involved. And that's why I've mailed out information to every registered voter in District 2. You know what I think. You know what my intent is. And I'm not running for this position because I want to. I'd rather stay home in my garden with my horse and my chickens and not have to mess with other people's problems. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, when I have homeless people fighting on my dirt road in front of my house, that's a problem. And if I'm experiencing it right in town, who else is? We've got to fix this stuff. And the only way for me to do that is not come up here and make promises about what I'm going to do, except the most important one. I'm going to represent the people of Trinity County in District 2 with the issues that they need to have addressed. And I'll do it to the best of my ability, and I won't back down. Obviously, there's over 1,000 people in my district. And I think 1219 is the count. And I need input from each and every one of you. And I'm going to make that easy for all of you that are in District 2 to do that. Every month, you're going to be getting a newsletter from me. I've got a bulk rate postal permit, so if you need to write to me, send me a letter and the postage will be paid. I will represent you, and I thank you for your vote.
Okay, for this first question, it's a general question. I'm going to start with Dan Frazier, and then we'll work our way back around. So the question is, do you have any specific plans for immediate action, or what is your number one priority that you want to spearhead if elected supervisor for your district?
Plans for immediate action. I kind of lined it out in my opening statement. The number one issue I have for my district would be roads. Where's the money going? Because it's not getting back over South Fork Mountain. And public safety, we have major issues with public safety in South County. It's been months since I saw a deputy. And that would be the first thing on my agenda for what I would be looking for my district.
Bobby, you're next.
Did you read the question again?
Yes, I sure will.
It's just the district.
Do you have any specific plans for immediate action, or what is your first priority that you want to spearhead if elected supervisor for your district?
For the district. District 3 has seen the threat of fires. I'm sorry. District 3 has seen a lot of threats for fires. So this last year, as I was saying earlier, we held multiple community meetings within Polka Bar, Top of the Grade, and Hayfork at the fire halls. We did not have a siren for over 20 years, and it was defunct in Hayfork area. I'm happy to say that we have funding and that will be implemented this year. Our evacuation routes, I've met with CAL FIRE. We're looking with Caltrans on where we can put pull-outs on the highways and on roads, and we have a lot of one way in and no way out. If CAL FIRE is going up, the community can't get out. We started phone trees within communities so neighbors know if somebody's on life support. Trying to work with the disaster council to put in community areas where we have backup generators for air so we can breathe. So setting aside fires, which is the #1 priority of the human safety element, I'd move on to the homelessness and the drug and mental illness, which is all woven together. This last year, we have seen a lot of movement through the federal administration as well as the state administration, and with our grants writer, we have procured several grants, and I will be talking more about that shortly. So human safety, #1, and helping those people that have been left unattended to would be #2.
Could you repeat the question?
Do you have any specific plans for immediate action, or what is your #1 priority that you want to spearhead if elected supervisor for your district?
I would like to spearhead getting in Douglas City, part of my district, tourism back. We're fortunate enough in Douglas City to have a natural tourism factor. We have the river. For many, many years, that river supported a lot of things in our county. Tax dollars were plentiful. Tourism, I was on a they figured out how much money each guided trip took into this county at one time, and this is about 5 years ago. It brought in $1,200 per day per guided trip. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of tax dollars. That's a lot of revenue for our district. I think I would like to get the river corridor, the tourism back through fishing. As far as Hayfork goes, Hayfork has embraced the cannabis part of my district. I would like to expand on that with TCAA, a group that's over there, to actually get a functional tax on the bill that will actually pass. Right now, we have one, it's in litigation. I think it's going to be tough. We need to get together with the people of my community, Hayfork, Douglas City, work together and get something that will create tax dollars, and tax dollars will bring more enforcement. And the one thing that we all need to know, we need to be safe. I think we've all lost that in our community. The fact that safety has gone away is something that's inherent, that we should have. We should be given that. We shouldn't have to pay for that. We should be given that. And I think a lot of you people don't feel safe now. I like to bring that back. That's one of the things I think is very, very important and lost on the Board of Supervisors, is the fact that a lot of people in my district and other districts honestly don't feel safe, and I feel terrible about that. Thank you.
Two minutes isn't enough time, and it is more than issues, but one of them is growing our economy. After being a business owner in Weaverville, and I've seen the issues and problems we faced, one of them that bothers me is, this is a lotion that I put for lower backache and arthritis on my knees. I drive 120 miles to go get this, and I buy it from people that are making $20 an hour with full benefits. It is from in a town that just hired 15 new police officers and built a courthouse. I want that for our county. We need to grow our economy any way that's possible. And we need to work together, not just in Weaverville District. We can't act like we're elitists and that we're better than some other part of our district. We're all one county. And we've really got to start working together. Trying to be an elitist in Weaverville is embarrassing. We don't have that kind of money to act like that. We got to work on growing our economy, and that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Being in District 2, I would agree that our local economy is something that needs to be targeted initially. So my thoughts on this, when I spoke with collaboration earlier, one demonstration of that would be that I reached out to Brookings, Oregon. I grew up in Reedsport, and so in those years, we hated the 4-hour drive down the windy coast to what we called the armpit of the Oregon coast. And today, Brookings is a destination my husband and I enjoy on weekend. So I called their chamber and I said, somebody must know the story of the journey. What did you do? And a very wonderful woman called me back. We had an hour-long conversation and she talked about festivals, bringing festivals in. And so I've already taken that idea to the county chamber and they have actually incorporated it into their plan. So that's one way, because the business owners have told me that every time there's a festival in town, they get a little shot in the arm. So these business owners are hanging on just by the skin of their teeth. And so we need to find a way to give them that shot in the arm. So Weaverville needs to decide, okay, what is our vision going to look like? What's going to identify us? I say we have mountains and lakes and streams and rivers and beautiful things to play with. You can't create that where it doesn't exist. So capitalize on it. Let's make our Main Street something to where we decide that we're going to focus on biking and kayaking and fishing and boating and skiing and rafting and hiking. And we invite our neighbors who live just a half a day's drive away, and we start becoming that weekend destination that people can't wait to get here. So now we bring to the table in this collaborative way the people with the ideas, the people with the economic connections to help people get that business start, people with savvy and business skills to help them build, and then we bring to the table those people who would love to own a business and they lack the idea, and put all that together and start filling up these empty main streets of our, I apologize, the empty stores of our Main Street, and I just see such potential there.
I sure will. You may notice that I'm combining some questions in the interest of time and things that were very similar. So this is one of those combined questions, which is why it's a little longer. Do you have any specific plans for immediate action, or what is your #1 priority that you want to spearhead if elected supervisor for your district?
Well, that's good. I don't have any plans other than to talk to the people of District 2. I want to hear what they want done. And I want to combine it, and then I'll set priorities, and then I'll work after that. Right now, I'm actually studying the governance manual, and I figure from March 3rd, I've got 10 months to learn everything I need to learn to be able to represent the people the way they should be represented. I personally don't want to do it. I'm doing it because I've been told to do it by a higher power. Some of you may know who that is and what that means, but that's the reason I'm running. I'm a pretty faithful man. You know, we've got drugs on the street. I don't know how many times I've had to call Mark Potts because of gunfire in his backyard at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because of homeless people living in East Weaver Creek. And we got to fix it, but we can't do it unless we stand together. You know, no Democrats, Republicans, Independents, or whatever. We need to be the people of Trinity County, and we have to come together and solve these problems collectively. What I want to do doesn't matter. I want to stay in the backyard with my garden and my chickens and my horse. But I also know in 12 years of law school, I can apply that to do something to bring changes to our county so it can become prosperous and it can be a good place to recreate. My wife works for the Park Service. She loves it. And we've got a beautiful thing here. We just got to fix it. Thank you.
Okay, Bobby, I'm going to start with you for this question. Diane. Oh, I'm so sorry, Diane.
That's
I was
okay.
reminding myself to not leave you out.
That's all right. You don't have to repeat it. I know the question. Again, as I opened up, that fire, the threat of fire, if we have catastrophic fire, we won't have anything left. Our properties, there won't be businesses, etc. It will be a lot like Paradise, destroyed, and parts of Reading. What many people don't understand is even with the smaller fires, not even the catastrophic fire, which you cannot outrun. We had these fires in the 30s and 40s. They're so fast you can't outrun it, just like in Paradise, just like in Reading, where they had the fire NATO. When you have fires like that, even the smaller ones, people will not come to recreate. They can't grow their crops. Even the animals, the ranchers, our livestock suffer. They don't have their young the way they do on a good year. So we need to address that. I've been working with a collaborative for many years. I proposed the shaded fuel break, which became the #1 priority project, but only 6 Rivers so far has begun to implement it. We need to push the Forest Service to do that here in Trinity County. That will make jobs for us, lots of jobs, because we have a massive forest, one of the largest in the nation. We've got to thin the forest. We have to put these shaded fuel breaks around our communities, on the ridge tops and the roads. And we have to improve our roads so that we can get in and out as well safely. So we need to have someone that will take it to the federal government. I do know that President Trump has said it's a priority to reduce the fuel loads, and I think that they're ready now to actually work with us, when before all we got was a wall, the door. So that's why I think this is the appropriate time for me to come in and to get our fuel loads reduced before we burn to the ground. Thank you.
And again, my apologies, Diane. So Bobby, this will be your start of the questions, your beginning. This question is, public safety is of great concern to most of our citizens. What will you do as a supervisor to make increased law enforcement a county priority?
This is a great question. I'm glad it was asked. Public safety is a priority for the government. As I have already mentioned, I held numerous meetings in District 3 this last 12 months, not just the fire meetings. We've taken in a lot of input. The community wild protection plan for each community had an opportunity to weigh in, and we'll be reporting those back out. I've also requested that in the Hayfork area, there's a lighting district. When I was running, there was 70-something lights. I think it was 77, 78. 36 of them were not functioning. So I have met with TPUD. I've requested, it's 3 years now ongoing, a downcast light that's more efficient. I also had lights put up at the local churches that one of them had multiple accidents. Met with Caltrans several times on some areas on Highway 3 specifically that needed to be worked on. I've talked to Caltrans in the Hayfork area district about putting a pedestrian signal light where the children cross from the elementary school in the park over to the other side, which is by the tire shop. It's a really dangerous corner. So I've already been doing that. I've been on ride-alongs with our sheriff. I've been one night with the canine patrol, first on a fatal fire, watched our men and women in uniform fight those flames. And I appreciate every uniformed person, no matter what color their uniform. So I've already been doing things. I've been in Washington, D.C., as well as Sacramento, fighting for Trinity to reduce the problem that we have, again, with the homeless and their needs.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Public safety is of great concern to most of our citizens. What will you do as a supervisor to make increased law enforcement a county priority?
To make increased law enforcement a county priority, we need to give Tim Saxon a bigger slice of the pie. The only way that this county is going to get safer is with more law enforcement. The way to get more law enforcement is through taxation, which we have not got at all from any part of the cannabis industry that is in this county. We all should feel safe. The other way that I would try to get some more money to law enforcement here is to look into the staff that we have. I'm fully supportive of Tim Saxon, Tim Rogers, our county CEO, Dr. Kuntz. I'm going to look a little deeper into the people who work for our county, and I think there could be some money saved there that we could put towards law enforcement. I think there's a little bit of money that can be cut out of some of these departments here that can be sent to the right department. I think our law enforcement is a key issue to solving a lot of the problems, the homeless, the black market grows that are out there that make all of you feel unsafe. We need taxation, we need enforcement. Right now we don't have either, and we have a certainty, a lack of enforcement. When we get taxation, we will get better enforcement, and we will get the black market growers out of our community, and we will all feel safer. There will be more money for law enforcement to support all their actions, and I support law enforcement 100%.
Well, I'm not going to song and dance through this. There's not a lot we can do about anything until we do start growing our economy. We start to have to answer for the amount of money that's already gone into the county. In just the licensing, it's not even to get a license, it's just to start a permit, is $6,000. In a year, little over a year, $1.5 million unaccounted money has gone into Trinity County. Another company has put in over $2 million, and it's just in fees. So if we have that kind of money and it's not accounted for, I think we need to work on that first and be a little more transparent, especially when we're giving presentations on wanting to raise our taxes, but not having the answers to explain how you're going to do that. And for that, I'm sorry, that's about all I can say, is it's pretty hard to work for the Sheriff's Department or any other organization. We have a great administration that's working very hard, and they've only been given 2 years so far, and a lot of problems dumped. We can't solve these problems immediately, but we do need to start being accountable for the money that we've already collected. Thank you.
I just would echo what Liam and that's a terrible thing to do. I really apologize.
It's all right.
They are spot on from the standpoint that we need to see where these dollars are. So I went back and watched the budget adoption hearing at the Board of Supervisors meeting. I think it was September 10th. And the gentleman that presents that budget, he goes through it quickly, and there's not an ability to understand it in depth at that point. So I just like to look at all of the spreadsheets. I'd like to see where things go, why they're appropriated, where they are, because clearly our sheriff needs extra dollars, and he's done a fantastic job with the dollars that he has received, and he's been a go-getter to get the grant funding and to have, I believe, 20 deputies, a fully staffed department at this time. I really appreciate that. So I just kind of would defer to him as well and say, he's the leader. I would get behind him in any way and support what he needed to do. I kind of feel like maybe there's a little bit of micromanagement that can go on from time to time, and I would like to see him empowered to do what he needs to do, and I appreciate that.
I'm dittoing what everybody else said. And, the thing is we've got to make changes. If we always do what we've always done, and being here tonight, we're doing that, we're going to always get what we've always gotten. 100 years ago, here in California, they had posses. Posses didn't get paid. They were the good people of this county that stood with the sheriff and helped him do his job. Then money came up. All of a sudden, it took money to do this. But to be a moral person doesn't take money. In fact, you can be very moral and have no money at all. And on the other hand of that coin is the same argument. You can have a lot of money and have no morality. And that's evident in this county. We've got to change it, and we've got to give this back to the people. Both the California Constitution and the United States Constitution start off with the same 3 words: we the people. We ordained and established a constitution to protect the life, liberty, and property of the people of this country and this state. We need to get off our tails and get out there and start standing together. Tell us what you want. Let's fix it. That's what it's going to take. What I want to do, I'm telling you, you heard it a minute ago. I'd rather stay home with my horse and my chickens and my garden than do this. I don't need a job. I don't want a job. But I do need to know that we're secure in our homes. Yes, what is it, 62% of the people are on welfare? How do we fix that? The only way we fix it is look at it and do something about it. And it takes your input, not 5 people sitting on the Board of Supervisors. It needs every one of you to get involved. We can't do it without your support, and I vow I will support you if you tell me what you want and elect me on March 3rd. Thank you.
Yes, it's a great question, and I think it's something that's on everybody's mind that lives in Trinity County, no matter which district you're in. Talking about the budget that you see them discuss in the Board of Supervisors meetings is a fantasy. It's a fairy tale. It's what they plan to do, but it's not what really happens. The real story, in nonfiction, you can find in the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, that they report to the federal government what they've done with all the monies that they've gotten from the feds, the state, and local monies, our tax dollars. This is one of the documents. This is from last year. Do you see this green pie slice? This is the public ways and facility. It takes a giant chunk out of our budget, of our real dollars that are spent, which are about $125 million a year that we get from state and federal mandate funds, and about $11 million from local revenues. That is for roads and facilities. Have you seen the county build any roads or any buildings? Where is $22 to $29 million every single year going? This little pie chart piece is for public safety. It's only 23%. And I think we do see some of that. But we used to have 20 deputies before, with about 1/3 of the monies that we receive now. So there's something funny going on in Trinity County. I'm able to read books, I'm able to read law, and I intend to find out where these monies really are being spent, because they are not being spent on our roads and they're not being spent for public safety. Thank you.
Public safety is a big issue. I think the main thing to do for the Board of Supervisors to do would be to be accountable, to be transparent where the money is going, and to stand behind the sheriff. I would be happy to support the sheriff, let the sheriff make the decision on how he wants to run the department. He's an elected official too. He's accountable to you, and do what I could to support him in making the funding available. Where that funding would come from, I'm a long ways from knowing exactly where that's going to come from. I don't think any of us can. Maybe Bobby would be the only one that would have an honest answer on exactly where you're going to find that funding, somebody who's been there. So I would say my biggest thing with public safety would be to support the sheriff, but also to do what I could to support our overworked volunteer fire departments also.
Okay, Liam, I'm going to be starting with you for this question. As you know, there have been some rather contentious issues in recent years before the board. What will you do to encourage civility and exemplify respectful dialogue?
I think first of all, I think transparency is a big part, or not a big part, of our Board of Supervisors right now. I will lead the way in transparency. There is no reason for 5 people on a Board of Supervisors to not be transparent. It is an easy thing to do. It should be a given. I will make sure that, for instance, we have something happened on August 9th last year at the Board of Supervisors meeting. To this day, it has not been resolved. It's probably in violation of the Brown Act. It has to do with TAA getting almost $100,000 from our Board of Supervisors. I think that's a lack of transparency. I don't think anybody out there, myself included, knows what happened there, and it's 6 months later. We should have that transparency. I think, and I don't want to be mean to Bobby, but she took the gavel the other day. If I took the gavel the other day, the first second I took that gavel, I would have told you about October 9th. What happened, where the money went, who signed it. There's no transparency there. There still isn't. She had the gavel, she didn't say anything. I think I will lead with transparency. You guys can ask me, I will tell you, it is not hard to be transparent. It's probably one of the easiest things you can do, and there is no way that I will not be transparent. So expect it. Hold us up to it. You know, it is part of what we need to do. It's part of what you guys need to know. When you know what we're doing, we're all on the same page. It's not hard to do in this small community, so we can get it done.
Yes, please.
As you know, there have been some rather contentious issues in recent years before the board. What will you do to encourage civility and exemplify respectful dialogue?
Well, I think talking honestly to the public. They had 3 presentations last week, which was a perfect example. The ambulance came out, they told us exactly what their problem was, they told us exactly what the taxes would be required for us to pay for it. There was no hiding. I really appreciated that information from them. The second presentation was about our schools, but the presentation came off with no information, 9 answers of, I'll get back to you on that. When you do a presentation, you have to be honest with the public. Everybody already doesn't trust us because we're not just straightforward and honest. And you need to do that. With a tax bill, you need to just tell us straight out, yes, it's 3.2%. Yes, it will take 29 years to pay back, not 16. And not be condescending to people that question you. You have to get over your egos and understand that people want answers. You don't need to defend yourself. You don't need to be angry and mean. You just be honest and open with people, and you can get a whole lot farther. Thank you.
I absolutely believe that conversation can and should remain civil and professional as we deal with one another. It seems like outbursts of anger have become allowable and almost, it's not surprising, I should say, when that takes place. While I think that that's unacceptable, I think we need to look at the root. Why is someone so angry to be driven to a place of outbursts? And what I have found is they lack information. Some people will stand and repeat the same things week after week, and they just lack information. Sometimes they are asking, in what I think is an uncivilized manner, about questions that they could go to the source and find that out for themselves. Some of those questions, their questions, I've taken to the source and found that the answer was actually pretty simple. So I think that just perhaps an awareness on everyone's part, go to the source and ask for that information, but on the part of the leaders, provide that information. It's not that hard.
What was that question again?
As you know, there have been some rather contentious issues in recent years before the board. What will you do to encourage civility and exemplify respectful dialogue?
think the county has made an attempt to do that with this governance manual. And I read it for the first time today. But it tells them how to do their jobs and what can be expected. If they follow this, I don't think there's going to be issues. But they're not following this. I mean, there are crazy things happening. I've been watching elections very closely since the 2016 election. And to see an elections official who was never at that time elected to the office come in and change the brain card in the machine, I'm not sure what they call it, the voting machine, 3 times in the course of the election. Then when you study what that card does, it tabulates the votes. But it can be manipulated, and they were manipulated, and they still are manipulated. And that's why we have the problems that we have. That's why the government of this county can ignore us and restrict us to what they want to talk about so we don't get a say in our government. And the only way we're going to change that is get new people in there. And people with a vision, people with a good heart. God, I wish I could get the 32nd one up there. But that's where we are. You know, we can sit all day long and answer these questions. And the story is still the same. If you do the same thing over and over, expect different results, you're insane. But that's what this county is doing. This system has worked for them over and over and over. Here we are again at another one of these candidates nights with the same deal. If you got a question, call me. Everybody in District 12 got mail from me with my phone number and my email address on it. Talk to me, and I will get you what you want. One way or another, I'll find a way. Thank you.
When I first started going to the supervisor meetings, I realized that they were breaking the law just about every 5 minutes. They weren't allowing the public to have any input after they discussed an issue on the agenda. And I brought it up to them and I said, after you discuss it and before you vote, you're supposed to open it up to the public for the public to give their opinion or ask questions, etc. And they were in shock and they asked the county council, do we have to do that? And they're like, well, yeah, that is the law. And then they decided how many minutes to give us. It has changed a little bit lately, but basically they won't answer questions very often to us when we're up there. That, oh, you don't have to, you can just state your opinion, you can't ask questions. And basically they treat the public, the citizen that pays their salaries, including the salary of the county council, which is way overpaid, like basically peasants. They don't want to hear from us. For instance, when we were trying to deal with the cannabis issue years ago, before Prop 64, I sponsored meetings every month and luckily convinced 2 of the supervisors to come to a meeting each month, and lots of different people came, sometimes as many as 60 people in different places of the county. And those 2 supervisors, John Finley and Judy Morris, at the end of the year, we had a proposal of how we wanted to handle the cannabis. And it was everybody weighed in, people that didn't like cannabis, people that loved cannabis, people that were environmentalists. And then they just walked away from us as if it never happened. All that time spent. So it's about respecting the people and what they want, what they need, what they think, what they feel. We need to respect the people. They come there because we work for them. And that's what we have to insist, that they listen to us. And I would listen to you. Thank you.
In the last several years, I've experienced some of those contentious issues at the planning commission level. When first going through it, I struggled with that civility part. What it boils down to, and I have done it myself, is you have to see beyond the issue. The people are people. And once I got that through my head, that the people that I was disagreeing with were still people. I was disagreeing with them, but that doesn't change the fact that they're still good people. And eventually, some of the people I had the most disagreements with are now folks I would consider friends. When you sit down and start talking to them, you find out you have a lot in common. And I've grown up a lot in that experience. And I don't know, I guess civility, it boils down to, we've all heard it, the golden rule in all things, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think if we would practice that, civility comes easily after that.
Civility, it's really interesting. At the last board meeting, a person walked up to the podium and talked about civility. Later in that meeting, he then stood up and interrupted the meeting. So yes, it's from whose eyes you see. Taking the gavel is really incredibly powerful, but it doesn't make you a ruler. It doesn't make you a dictator. What it does, it has you at the helm to keep civility. If someone was there on August 9th, they would understand that I actually declared what my vote had been. So I was transparent. Going forward, transparency was a problem when I first started 3 years ago. It is still a problem. What have I asked and requested and been denied? But now that I am the chair going forward, soon we will be having a live feed for the Board of Supervisors as well as the board, or as well as the Planning Commission. I've requested that for 3 years. Beyond that, I would like to see the Board of Supervisors have hubs in the county where there is broadband prohibited. I already have someone who said that he would install, so in communities, downriver Van Duzen, in Hayfork, High and Palm, they could come together as a community and watch, because we need the communities to come together, but because we're spread out, this is only 2 part of a 5-part program. My existence on the board has been almost nullified. If you go on the Trinity County website right now, you'll still see the former person that I replaced, his appointments. We're supposed to change that out every year. So I actually don't get offended when people say the Board of Supervisor this, the Board of Supervisor that, because I really haven't been treated like one, even though I've been a team player this whole time. That's civility.
I'm going to start with you, Melanie. This is a 2-part question.
Oh.
So first, if you have any relationship to a marijuana business, please disclose that fact, and then answer this question. Please talk about the growth of the cannabis industry in our community. In 5 or 10 years, do you feel it would be a positive or negative influence, and why?
How much time do I get? 2 minutes? Well, I was going to do this at the end, but you're hitting me with this question like right now. Has my time already started? Did I already waste 10 seconds? All right. First, we have to understand that California passed cannabis to help us, small rural communities. We don't have very many resources. And if we're going to depend on the lakes and the streams and the fields, Mother Nature has taken that away from us many times. We need a plan B. Cannabis was sent to mitigate all our funding issues that we have, our schools, our police, our housing. All of this comes all at once. There's a company that is already, a great presentation was put on last week, to be able to put $20 to $30 million into our community as a whole. Weaverville has to start looking at the success of Hayfork, Downriver, Southern Trinity, benefits us. These are people that are willing to work in the dirt and work hard, and we're the ones that benefit by it. So I have a hard time understanding why special interest groups are continually trying to either sue the small little farmers or put all the obstruction in. The obstruction is what has to stop. We have to start embracing whatever our resource is and quit giving it away. We gave away the water. We're giving away lumber. Let's try to hold on to our last bit of resource that we can use that makes a lot of money. And I would like to see some of that money into our coffers. And no, I do not grow weed. Thank you.
I have no affiliation with cannabis farming. If cannabis, it's here and it's legal, and I'm fine with that. as long as what we do is clean, it's professional, and it's regulated, and it's kept away from children. And I'm okay with it.
And I think cannabis could be a great moneymaker for the county, the state. Gavin Newsom in 2016 thought it was so good, he said in 2016 it was going to be made recreationally legal in 2018, and by God it did. There are a lot of people in this county that are against cannabis. And some people call it cannabis and some people call it marijuana. Marijuana is a street name brought in by illegal Mexicans with their illegal weed. Cannabis in California is a medical necessity for a number of people. And I don't think that we need to decide whether that's good or bad, or who uses it and who doesn't use it. What we need to do is be able to capitalize on it for the people. And it's an industry, whether we like it or not. It's an industry that could really bring this county out of the gutter. But there are too many people out there who use it for medical purposes. Instead of growing 4 or 5 plants a year, they grow 400 or 500. Those people are making a profit, a serious profit, and not a penny of that comes to the people of this county. And we got to fix that. So, whether or not we grow it or not, I grow 4 plants every year. I use medical marijuana. I've had cancer twice. I've had, what do they call it? Atherosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries, since I was 16 years old. I was told then that I'd be lucky to live to be 35 years old. I'm 68 now. And I don't recreationally use marijuana. In fact, I don't even smoke it. I put it in capsules and make an oil out of it. And it doesn't get you high, but it heals cancer. I've got 6 and 8 and 10 and 12-year-old kids all over the world taking it for epilepsy, and it works better than any medication, and it's all organic and it won't kill you. So you got to look at the issue, and what is the issue with cannabis? Is it good or is it bad? Is it helpful or not? And how can we make it good for everybody? Thank you.
Well, to answer the first part, I have no cannabis business or any association with it. However, I will say that when we were doing the meetings to try and figure out what would be the best plan for Trinity County with everybody's input, I was told many things, and one of them is that this is at least $1 billion industry in Trinity County and maybe $2 billion. Clearly, that money is not coming back to Trinity County. It's leaving and it's staying gone. If we were to embrace it, we make it so that people that wanted to do it could more easily do it, deregulate it more, make it so that you can come into the industry more easily. You can't even buy it here. And we should have dispensaries so that people could have a medical, it's called medical tourism. We could actually become a little Switzerland here, where people would come to get their medicine. We had doctors that came to their meetings that said that if you did this here, where the patients could get the medicine, we'll bring clinics, we'll bring laboratories. We could definitely have a lot of jobs from this. We have to not punish people, we have to help them come out of the black side into the light, so that, again, those benefits would come. And it wouldn't just be where you're taxing them or et cetera. I don't believe in taxes, sorry, but I think that there would be jobs, for instance, restaurants, hotels, drivers, grocery stores, theaters. It would be a lot more for everybody if we were to embrace it and help those people that are interested in doing it become legal as easily as possible, not hit them over the head. Thank you.
I have no marijuana business or cannabis business or affiliation there with. I think that our county has spent a lot of time, too much time and energy trying to solve this problem from too many angles. I think it could be simplified. I do believe that since the county has decided they're permitting it, it's here. done right, I think it can be a benefit. Financially, I don't see that, I don't see cannabis as the savior of our county financially. I don't think it's wise to put your whole economy, base your whole economy on any one item. And I think that it does need to be regulated. Not to the point that it's being regulated right now. I don't agree with all the environmental regulation and all that aspect. I do think it needs to be looked at from a planning perspective. Zoning, it needs to be, we need to have places set aside that are more geared toward that type of agriculture, like we do with other ag businesses that are a little less public friendly, shall we say, that kind of not so much to shove the growers into the back corner, you know, but to keep a potentially offensive product away from the main public eye.
No. In 1992, my family relocated up here after one of my older brothers had a severe brain injury. In 1992, he was given 6 months to a year to live, so it didn't seem like that big of a burden. He had his throat sewn closed and ate through a G-tube. I had to squash his meds and flush him down his tubes. Like I said, 6 months to a year wasn't that much time. We, through nourishment and broths and raw goat milk, he lived quite a bit longer. Actually, he didn't pass until 1999. At that time, we couldn't find a 215 doctor. My mom caught cancer in the mid-90s, which she recovered. I lost her in 2004. My dad came to live with me full-time in 2006. As he was aging, my World War II vet, my hero, he tried cannabis, and it helped him. So I learned to grow it. I learned to make it into medicine. And then several people in my family needed it. When I ran in 2016, I had 8 plants. I, for fun, put 99 beds out there, filled them with tomatoes and zucchinis. Anybody that knows me knows I love to garden. It's a shame we live in America and we have an answer, and it's called cannabis, not for our communities. I've been a caregiver my whole life. It's a weapon. It destroys the enemy. It gives freedom to those that are riddled with pain. Trinity County was posed to take center place. I was sent to do a job I haven't finished. I am not the good old boys, and their money is not in my wallets.
Could you repeat the question one more time?
Yes, you can. First, do you have a relationship to a marijuana business? Please disclose that fact. And then please talk about the growth of the cannabis industry in our community. In 5 or 10 years, do you feel it will be a positive or negative influence, and why?
I do have no interest in the cannabis industry at all. In the next 10 years, the cannabis industry needs to become part of Trinity County. It is a big part of our county, and it is a recreationally legal drug. It has many medicinal values, and it will be a way to help our county. Just a small way to help our county, though. The taxation of it will help our county, but we need to sit down as a board of supervisors with the groups now that are legal and have a collaborative effort with those people to get a tax measure on the ballot that will pass. It needs to be good for them. It needs to be good for us. It needs to be not taxing them out of business and making us some tax. Let's get something on the books. Let's get some money into our coffers for enforcement. I am for raising right now the minimum fine for a code violation is $100. I talked to Tim Saxon, the maximum fine can go to $5,000 per violation. That's a good way to start. I think that'll clean up some of the black market. The low-hanging fruit will be picked, and I think cannabis will play some part in the role of Trinity County's future. I think it has to. It's here to stay. It is legal. It has beneficial medical results for people, and I support the legal cannabis growers of Trinity County. They want to be taxed. They want to help, and I think the board should work with them to get a tax on the rules that will make Trinity County some money. Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to take a very short break, 5 minutes. We have a lot of questions to go, and I don't want us to go all night. So come on back in about 5 minutes. And Jill, you will be the first one to answer this question. Other than the cannabis industry, what plans do you have to improve communication, transportation, or other efforts to enable sustainable economic development? Other than the cannabis industry, what plans do you have to improve communication, transportation, or other kinds of efforts to enable sustainable economic development?
Fabulous question, I love that one. So, what needs to happen here is that there need to be individuals and couples and families that can come and call Trinity County their home while they work remotely anywhere in the world. So we've got fiber optic line on the 299 corridor, and then I've been going to the PUD meetings and seeing what they've got in the works. So just getting that reliable and backup internet access available for people so that they can come and enjoy what we know is wonderful and a great place to live. And then that will bring kids to our schools and people to shop in our stores and grow our recreation as they tell their friends. And I just think that it's huge. It's super important, and we need to get that done. So I went in and saw Joe Mills, he's our district ranger, and just opened that conversation with him. We need to have our cell phone service to where when families come here, or let's say it's the couples getaway weekend or what have you, we're used to communicating with our kids and being able to text and call and not just be off the grid for an entire weekend. So we need that access with the cell phone towers, and the district ranger said, absolutely, make me a great proposal. We can work collaboratively together and make that happen. So I just want to continue that relationship with him and see that communication happen for us.
It's a little confusing because I've had to combine several. So other than the cannabis industry, what plans do you have to improve communication, transportation, or other efforts to enable sustainable economic development?
At this point, I really haven't taken a close look at how the gears of the county work. I've been to board meetings over and over, and I really don't know what I'm going to do. For me, I've been in business all my life, self-employed. I retired young, and I attack the problem one day at a time. And what I'll do in the county is listen to the people first of all. This is their government, not mine. But then I'll look at it, and I've got 10 months from March 3rd until I go into office. I'll have this thing studied inside and out. I'm analytical. I'll be able to find problems, and then I'll be able to present them to the people of my district and say, what do you want me to do about it? How do we address it? That's what government should be. A government for, of, and by the people with the consent of the people. We don't have that in this county, and that's why I'm running. We need to get out of the deep woods, old good buddy plans that they do here. And they've had it. They control the elections. 30-second one, was fun. And, I'm not that talkative. What am I going to do? I have no idea. This is a secret mission for me to even get into the Board of Supervisors. But put me in there, and I promise you, I will dig into it. I'll know the job inside and out before January 2nd, and I will do what you need me to do to get what you want. I don't get anything out of this. I'm losing family time, and that's important to me. I've got 11 grandkids. They're much more important to me than arguing about whether or not pot should be illegal or legal. Personally, I think recreational marijuana is a disaster. But medical marijuana has saved my butt twice. I've had colon cancer and stomach cancer. And I don't want to go back to that. And I don't think anybody should have to go through that. Cannabis saves lives. It's been used in this country for hundreds and thousands of years. And that's not a big deal for me.
Well, one of our big challenges, again, is fire. But our forest used to be our solution to everything. They used to fund our schools, our roads. We need to get back to that, and we will solve the problem of fire. And we have everybody on board through the work that we've done, both the environmentalists, the government, the feds. They're on board. We just need to push and get it started so that we are taking timber out again, reducing the fuel loads. There's all kinds of industries that could deal with the dead and down, for instance, wood pellets. We need to be able to find those people, court them, that would come and put those type of industries in here, in the communities where there, for instance, Hayfork, where there's a lot of forest and dead and down. You could take out half of the trees that we have and you would not even notice it. Our forest is so unhealthy, so overgrown, that it makes the trees sick. They can't get enough water. It's just like in your garden. You only have a certain amount of water. And those trees are sucking up the water that used to come down to our communities as well. Why some of our waterways aren't running is because there's too many trees. Once we reduce the fuel loads and thin the forest to a healthy amount, we will be able to have healthier trees, they would grow faster, etc. And we would have the people out in the forest working on jobs with equipment that helps put fires out. We would have those monies again like we did before for our roads and our schools. We need to go back to that. That is our big, big resource. When you fly over this county, what's our big resource? It's the trees. But we need to take care of our forest. Thank you.
Run through that one more. It's a good question.
Yes. Other than the cannabis industry, what plans do you have to improve communication, transportation, or other efforts to enable sustainable economic development?
That is a big question. I touched on it before. Roads, transportation, and communication in my district are a big issue. I don't think it's so much economic issue. The roads would be. It's difficult. There's no way you could court any type of industry in the South County where you can't even travel over the road safely or efficiently. I think communication to me would be more of a public safety thing. I know that there are some remote job there's remote job access with high-speed internet. I don't think that's going to be a big economic boost for our county job-wise. I think internet could be an economic boon to the county, but I don't think it will produce that many jobs. I'd like to see, as Diane stated, I would like to see utilization of our resources. We have timber, we have minerals. I'm not saying we should go back to the 1980s Forest Service mentality of clear cutting everything, simulated wildfire events, or bucket line dredging in the rivers, but I think that we should utilize those resources and we should promote those resources.
Glad to answer this. Communications is a concern for all of the rural counties. California is made up of 3 subdivisions: rural counties, suburban counties, and urban counties. The rural counties outnumber, it's like 36 counties compared to the 58. We own most of the resources. However, because our population density is so low, we are oftentimes overlooked. We don't have representation in Washington or even in Sacramento. RCRC is an organization representing rural counties. In the last year, they have prioritized broadband at the national level. A year and a half ago, they also prioritized. What that means for rural counties is we can now access a pot of money. I'm on over 20 different committees. The most frequently said thing to me when I showed up was, where are you from? Trinity County. And they're like, oh, no one from Trinity County comes. It was so disheartening to hear that. So now that we have participation at a higher level, we know about these funding availabilities, because I agree, broadband is very important. On transportation, our rural roads are scenic and they're beautiful. One of the supervisors, Jeremy Brown, wants to change the Caltrans, spraying with the poison. I'm all in favor. He wants to beautify it. Just think if we could put wildflower scenery on the route up, how many tourists would come. And that's really, once we get it going. I went down south and it was at Super Bloom last year and thousands of people were there flocking. Sustainable RCRC is branched off and working with the rural counties have bought 2 mills in California, and they're going in and they're taking our old dead garbage forests and they're cleaning them up and they're turning it into sustainable fuel pellets. That's on the horizon for Trinity County, sustainable.
So, other than the cannabis industry, what plans do you have to improve communication, transportation, or other efforts to enable sustainable economic development?
I agree with everybody up here that we do need better internet access, broadband. But I also will say that being a guy for 28 years up here, I cannot tell you what a relief it is when people don't have it on there. They become unplugged from the world. I swear they'll live a year longer. So I think that we need it for business. I don't think it's going to draw business up here. I think our natural resources, our rivers, our hotels, other industry is going to be what saves Trinity County. I don't think the internet is going to be, it will be helpful. It will not be to save all for our county. We have a lot better things that other counties don't have. So I would love to get together with the hotel owners, rafting groups, to try to coordinate some things that are unique to our county. Broadband certainly is not unique to us, and I don't think that people expect to get that great coverage when they come here. So, and I also agree with Dan, the roads in this section of the district need to be worked on. That's important. So I would just say that, yeah, broadband is important to us, but it's not as important to gain a foothold here as the resources that we have here already. Some people would really like to be unplugged from the internet for a weekend. I'm good.
I got this. Jobs, businesses and jobs. And I'll give you a perfect example is quite a few years ago, a diaper company wanted to come here and put up their own industry. They would have 30 to 50 employees in the industrial park. When the industrial park was made, it had got the nickname of Potter's Pit because nothing happened in it other than county buildings. This company wanted to come here, and there are other companies that would be more than willing to come here. The problem is they would make the hookup fees so expensive, the electric and everything, and put this huge financial burden on a company starting up. And that seems to be what happens in this county a lot. We're going for the big money at the beginning and not looking at it just as a business owner. Every month you're generating more income into the county. That's how you do it, with more jobs, more businesses, more employment, and lifting ourselves up. Not trying to keep it down and try to grab every little penny you can at the beginning. Let's spread it out so that we can continue to make money in this county. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tom, I'm going to start with you for this question. What do you feel should be done to address the homeless issue?
Oh, boy. I don't know. No, I can't say that. You know, first of all, we've got to look at why are they homeless. You know, I'm told that a lot of them are homeless because of mental deficiencies, or what they call 5150. which is somebody that's not altogether there in the head, and they expired benefits in other counties, so they're given $100 there, put on a bus and say, go to Trinity County. And over 1,000 of them are living in our forest right here around Weaverville right now. And the only way I can see that we can fix it is to address their issues in a way that is going to be beneficial to them and us at the same time. And I don't know exactly what it is or how to go about doing it. I tried taking in 4 or 5 of the homeless people and giving them work at my home, and it just didn't seem to work out. They were either always wanting to get drunk or get high, but not wanting to work. And even the good people that aren't homeless and don't have these problems, nobody wants to work in this town. And Ryan came to me the other day and he said, Tom, you can't find anybody that wants to work. Why is that? That's what we've got to address. We've got to bring in things that they're going to want to do. My wife works for the Forest Service. She cleans the bathrooms. Well, she used to. Now she's compliance officer. But there's so much stuff that we can do up there. We can get these people working up there, cleaning our forests, if nothing else, to give them a sense of responsibility to get them out of the rut that they've gotten themselves into. But it's something, again, each of us are going to have to come together and figure out how do we address it and how can it benefit both the people of the county and the people that need the help. I'm all for working on getting the homeless in a home. And if I was a multimillionaire, I'd just build a great big park for them to live in. And they'd all have a bed and a place to sleep, and we can take care of them better that way. But the county doesn't want to spend that kind of money on that. I wish you would have put that up 30 seconds ago. Thank you. I'm done.
Well, we're back to the forest again. I actually had proposed to Sheriff Haney, for instance, that our inmates would work on cleaning up the fuel loads. And he was like, oh, I don't know if we can do that. But I've seen other sheriffs in other states do it, where you basically have a camp, and they live there and they do the work. And I think that not only our inmates, and they were probably a homeless person before they were in there maybe, but also for the homeless people, so we can give them shelter over their heads, a warm meal, and let them work in the forest. And being in the forest is a spiritual thing. I think it's sometimes they need to get away like that. And I do know, for instance, my sons that work in the fire district, they sometimes work with inmates from the state prisons and putting out fires. And those guys, they behave so well in the prisons so they can be on that unit. They love being out there. I think they're paid $1 a day or something, but they love being out there even when they're risking their lives fighting the fires. And I think that when we get them into these units where we're working on the forest, we can teach them new skills. This forest will be here forever. Those skills will work for them, even if it's a menial, very small skill, picking up stuff and loading a truck, the fuel loads. But I think that, again, we can look to the forest for a solution and provide housing. I believe that we could get the funding from the feds. The president wants the forest cleaned up, and I believe with the right proposal, and also if he wants California to address the homeless, we could combine that proposal and also get our inmates rehabilitated that are here in our jail. Thank you.
The homeless issue is something that, quite honestly, I don't have a lot to do with. District 5, my part of the district, we don't have the homeless issue like in around Weaverville and any other town. We don't have towns. There's not really any place for those people to congregate, so it's an issue that I'm all ears. I'm willing to work with people who are affected by it and try to come up with a solution. But as for my own area, it's really not a problem. We do it in the summertime. We have a transient population, but they don't stay. And they don't intend to stay. It's just traveling through. So really for District 5, over on the south of South Fork, I don't see the homeless as really a problem.
problems, again, with rural counties, especially in Northern California, is that the feds require us to do a point-in-time count once a year. This year it was January 22nd. Trinity County's numbers are extremely low in January, so it's not really reflective, and it puts a huge need on our people who need to facilitate. The number one growing population in homelessness is women, first time, over 55. Our vets make up a huge majority, men and women, and then we have a lot of mentally ill. Prior to being on the board, we did not have a committee that addressed homelessness. Another thing we see is recidivism. When somebody gets out of jail, they get on the street, they get right back into trouble, and they go right back into jail. I'm happy to say that we have now a program, a step up. We're working with other counties, and we are training college courses with our inmates that when they get out, they can be heavy equipment operators. We also have secured grants through the probation. I have the paperwork. We have had holes in our administration 3 years ago. We now have put together Team Trinity, and we have an incredible little Babe Ruth, if you will, and a grants writer, and we have funding for a No Place Like Home. We have established a stakeholders committee that meets regularly to address the specific needs in Trinity County. That happened on my watch. Thank you.
The homeless situation is not unique to Trinity County. It's in every state, county across the nation. I think the opioid epidemic affected all our counties. I don't think any city, state, county actually knows what to do about it, as you can see by any city you go to. There's a homeless problem everywhere. I don't want to pretend that I have the answers, but I do know that in our county, we do not have enough beds for the homeless / mental health issue people. If we do not have enough beds for those people, they are allowed to stay on state property, which is considered them resting somewhere. So they can rest at a pullout. They can rest at San Francisco in BART. They can rest at anything state-owned as long as it's not a paid-to-stay facility like a BLM campground. So honestly, with legislation the way that it is right now, and our county being as small as it is, the people that are homeless, they know the rules. They know how to get around the rules. And where I live in Douglas City, Hayfork, I think that they know how to play that game. I think a certain amount of people will want to get off being homeless, and there's certain things that our small county can do to help them, from being homeless. But on the whole, I think that it's a situation that's not been answered by our country, and I would not want to suggest any great promises from me from this county on how to solve that issue. I know how we solve it in Douglas City, and it's probably different than most places.
Well, I look at the homeless situation as one, it's a state issue. Yes, we are going to need their help. But we need to look at our own backyards first, in housing, just in our own housing issues. We have slumlords that make living conditions and rents the size of mortgages where people can never get ahead. And these homes that they have, they're making a lot of money monthly off of these people that are struggling, hardworking people just trying to get through the day. They're making money on them but not upgrading where they live. So when they don't upgrade where they live, now you have higher energy costs. This is also keeping people down. So you have to start looking at who are these people, what boards are they on, and what is preventing us from just having that kind of economic growth, that kind of housing growth to get people off the streets where they can afford to live somewhere. And that's all I have to say on that one for now. Thank you.
I think I just would echo that we don't have answers to this, or it would be already answered for us. My eyes were opened a few months ago when a homeless gentleman appeared in my front yard, and his bicycle was loaded, leaning against a tree, and he was making his way up my steps. And I looked around the corner to realize my husband hadn't locked the door when he left for work in the morning. And I was nervous, and he was speaking to me through the window, and the long story short is, he ended up coming in and having breakfast with us. He asked if there was some work that he could do, and I let him rake the leaves. And we had a nice conversation and sent him on his way. He's homeless by choice. He has a teaching credential in the state of Connecticut. So not everything that we see maybe is exactly as it appears. However, what I appreciate, while I don't have answers to this, there are people that have ideas and a heart for certain things they want to do. So among my interviewees was a group of people who want to purchase a house and bring people in for a short amount of time and see, are they candidates for wanting to have some help to get back on their feet, to figure out what's a job that I could do, what's a skill that I could learn, how can I begin this process of figuring out how to be not homeless. So I think that in supporting the people with the ideas and the heart, that's where my job would come in there. I don't have the ideas for this, but the collaboration, again, I think is the answer.
So unfortunately, I think this is going to have to be our last question, so we need time for you to do your final comments. There's a lot of great questions, and I apologize for not getting to all of them. This question is, please speak to whether you support or oppose the measures A, D, E, F on the ballot, and why. And Diane, we'll start with you.
All right, I oppose A. It's an illegal initiative. John Finley did not put his name on it when they circulated a petition. That is illegal. We should not be voting for it. It shouldn't be on the ballot, period. I also don't believe that we should tax more people that are already being taxed. I think it costs an exorbitant amount of money just to try and start your cannabis business, and to tax them on the front is not fair, where they don't even know if they're going to get a crop in. In fact, the state legislative analysts and auditors, they have decided that they made a mistake with the permitting process, where they shouldn't, instead of canopy or per square footage, it should be on the weight of the product afterwards, or the potency of the product itself. So they're suggesting that. I also spoke with the Ag Commissioner on this, and he also believes that it's not fair to be taxing them on the front. So I'm very opposed to A. On the emergency services, the ambulance, I'm extremely supportive. I know a lot of people that rely on that for their lives, their family. My two sons work the ambulance part-time sometimes as well. They're in school for paramedics, so we need that. Especially when you're way out in the middle of nowhere, those people that arrive, it's a paramedic that arrives on that ambulance, and that might save your life, or your child's life, or your grandfather's life. We don't have anything else. You basically often can't get anywhere. The clinic's closed, or you can't get to the hospital, it's 3 hours away. Having an ambulance service is very important to saving lives. So I am in full support of it, and my time is up. Thank you.
All right, at this point in time, I don't support ballot measure A. I'm not a big fan of any taxes, and I haven't done enough research into how to tax cannabis to come up with a better idea. So but I'm not. I'm opposed to A. As for D and E, they don't really apply to me. I'm way outside the service district, so I do support the Trinity County Life Support. I think it's up to the people of their area to decide, though.
I oppose A. It's unthinkable to me that we would, after the burden of the cost of regulation, drive out those few farmers that are willing to risk everything to be in a legitimate market. I love America, and one of the things I love about America is that we don't like taxation without representation. I believe in a different form, you could apply that quote to an empty building or an empty space in your yard. There's no product. I want to balance that by saying our county needs revenue. We don't look over the whole millions of dollars. The portion that the Board of Supervisors gets to deal with is a very small fraction. And we will not be sustainable. We are now put in a position where we have to pay higher wages for a whole lot of different reasons. The bond mold is not in my district. The bond mold, the situation in Hayfork has had a real devastating effect on the community with that measure, and I have to leave it at that. I totally support and sat on LAFCO, and I embrace and I will put whatever political clout, which isn't much, behind the ambulance, both D and E. We need an ambulance. I've gone over their books. By the way, there were multiple public meetings held. It was unfortunate that on several of these meetings, nobody from the public showed up. They were put in the paper. They were in Weaverville. If we don't redistrict and approve this tax, the company will no longer be able to service Trinity County. It doesn't matter how many tourists come here if we have no medical services to respond.
As far as Measure A goes, I support a tax on cannabis. Speaking more on Measure A, I know that the board put it forward knowing that it was full well going to be litigated before it actually got to the polls. So in broad spectrum, I do support a cannabis tax, but I think it needs to be a collaboration with the small farmers, with the other farmers in Trinity County. This is a small community. We can get everybody together to pass something that will get on the ballot, and actually we will get tax dollars from. Measure A, right or wrong, Finley, whoever, we're not a taxing county. When we get a tax on our bill that says it's in litigation, we're not going to pass it. It's just, we just don't do that here. So I think that it would be wise of the Board of Supervisors to sit down with the growers, get a collaborative effort to get something that we can actually pass here to make tax dollars. We have been 3+ years and we have yet to get 1 penny from taxation. Reading, Shasta Lake City, they get it all. We get nothing, not 1 cent that we got from that. That hurts, we need it. So I am for taxation of marijuana. I don't think Measure A is sustainable. As far as the EMTs and all, it's $750 a month. It's to me, it's a no-brainer. $750 a month to make sure you have an ambulance come to your place when you're dying, possibly. You give a lot more than that. So I am fully supportive of that. The bond mold, it's it's tough. It's in my district. I see it. I support it 100%. It's just a very, very tough situation right now, and I think that the kids of our community suffer the most. And I hate to see that.
The Measure A, I don't have a problem with taxes because I like roads, I like schools, I like all the stuff that requires. We are all up here vying for a job that gets paid through taxes. So it's kind of a no-brainer on that. However, like I said earlier, we have to be honest with the taxpayers. You have to be honest with property owners. this cannabis tax bill, it's almost ridiculous that you want to try to tax growers 50% before it's even grown. As a business owner, that's like telling a previous business owner, telling me that you're going to tax me for a sandwich before I made it. That just doesn't even make sense. So I think that needs to be regrouped, and I don't support it whatsoever. And as far as life support goes, I totally agree that's not that much money. And once again, they were forthcoming. They let us know $80 a year from each of us is nothing compared to not being able to have an ambulance come to your door. So I'm fully supportive of that. The school bond measure, I'm just so torn because people got one, we can't take this personally. We have the best school administration we've ever had right now. And they were dumped a horrible burden because we all know that black mold didn't start a year ago. So we need to be able to come up with some kind of solution that benefits us and to protect our schools because they're the most important thing to our children. I'm out of time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 30 seconds. I'm going to be because I just went blank. Thank you.
I have heard the growing community say that they want to be taxed. They are anxious to be able to give to the community and to feel that their taxes are going for those services that they too enjoy. And what's disappointing to me is that in 2018 there was a measure that was put together so collaboratively by people who are now in TAA that didn't exist then, or maybe it did, but the TCAA, which didn't exist then and now does. And so people from both sides of the table came together in such a great way and put together a measure that everybody agreed on. It was so disappointing to me that then that collaboration ended with the Board of Supervisors, where there were only 4 chairs at that time, 1 was vacant, so they needed that full 4 votes because to be put forth in that manner, you have to have 4 or 5. And 1 person voted no. And I just don't understand after that much work, the amount of revenue that we could have at this time, and we don't. So yeah, bring both sides of the table together and make it make sense for everybody because we're a community. As far as D&E goes, it just echoes what everybody else said. I've had to call an ambulance 4 times in 31 years. That is not the day you don't want there to be one. What concerns me the most is if it did not pass, we would have to farm that out to somebody like AMR. They could come into Trinity County. Am I done? Oh, okay, sorry. They could come in, and then if anything about the way they operated here, they didn't like it, they could simply pull out and we would be left with nothing. So it's really a dangerous thing, I think, to just not, give up 1 latte a month and have an ambulance. That's really important. Measure F, I'm really pleased with Jamie Green's efforts and what he has done. That man has bent over backward. He has worked tirelessly to make this work any other way than having to put a bond measure on the ballot. Bottom line, our kids matter. So yes.
Well, I'm not one for taxation at all. In fact, you probably would hate to hear some of the things I have to say about taxes. Title 31 of the United States Code is really clear about taxes. And, the United States Supreme Court says that no state may pass a law that abrogates the rights delineated in the Constitution. California even has that law, yet they still tax us on our property. I spend over $3,000 a year paying property tax. But it's supposed to be unconstitutional and illegal. And, somebody's got to fund the government. I don't have a problem with that. The A thing, I'm not really up to speed on it. I'm a lawyer. I have to read things before I can really comment on it. But I know I'm not in favor of A. We need ambulances. My wife, last year, working for the Forest Service, driving an old truck, tried to open up the wing window and it broke and it sliced the artery in her wrist. No cell service where she was. She had the foresight to be able to wrap a tourniquet around it, hold the injury, and drive with one hand to get to the place where her phone was. But then she couldn't work her phone. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, a Sierra Pacific employee saw that she was having a problem, stopped her, parked her truck, got her to a helicopter halfway down the mountain, where she then was airlifted to Reading. We could have gotten her an ambulance there without ambulance service, but my wife's life was saved, and it was because of SBI. So, let's keep ambulances. Let's make this so that we've got the necessary protection for the people that can't afford it and the people that can afford it. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Some taxes you need, and I think those are valid. And my time's up.
Okay, so now's the time for your closing remarks. Just a reminder, this can be used for a closing statement, or if you want to elaborate on a previous answer that maybe you didn't get time to finish, you can do that now. You can have 3 minutes each, and rather than going this direction, we'll start with you, Tom, and move the other direction.
Okay. My thing is that, to me, this was not a good night. I don't agree with this topic of answering questions about what my thoughts are, because I don't have any thoughts. I do pretty well on my own. My thing is I want to represent the people and what the people want, because we need that. For this community to grow, we need jobs. And to bring jobs in, we've got to have input from the people, and we've got to make changes. And I will lead the people to that table. I can get that done, and I will get that done if I'm elected. And, all these different things that we're asked to talk about up here don't mean anything to the people. What would be important for one of these is to let the people talk to us directly, individually. If you're running in District 2, talk to the people in District 2. I'm trying to do that by the mail, and I'm pretty successful at doing that. Just tell me what you want. I don't need anything, and I just think that we need to start working together and put politics aside, and let's make this the best place that it can be. The parks in this county are beautiful. We can do so much more. We need a Department of Parks and Recreation just to put people to work, and we've got the resources to do that if we reallocate things. You've got one member of the Board of Supervisors that, I think it was in 2018, his paycheck for the year was $174,000. How'd that happen on a base salary of $25,008? And if you look at the budgets and what we're paying out to some of the people that work for this county, more than half of them are paid twice as much as any other county employee in other counties. Why are we doing it? So if you want representation, you want somebody that'll listen to what you want to do and blend it with your neighbors and come up with a plan, I'll do that. And I yield the rest of my time to whoever needs more than me. Thank you. Be blessed.
Say something if you're yielding time. I am totally confused about the Board of Supervisors getting paid 6 times more, or whatever you said before there.
Let's go ahead and go on through. You can use that time to explain.
In my opening comments, I communicated the importance of a clear vision for our county. Here's mine. I want Trinity County residents to feel that they are safe, which includes adequate law enforcement, ambulance and hospital services, and while you can't legislate kindness, we can all have a collective goal in that direction. I want to see Trinity County with an updated general plan in place so that we can move forward from our land use challenges with a united front and a clear direction. I want to see the infrastructure in place that will enable individuals, couples, and families to call Trinity County home while they work from any place in the world. I want to see Weaverville as a thriving tourist attraction, that weekend getaway for our neighbors half-day's drive away. When I ponder asking you to elect me as your District 2 supervisor, I stop and I consider what I want from the people for whom I vote. What I want is to feel like someone confident and strong and thoughtful is at the helm. Someone who will be sure that long-term thinking dominates in the uncomfortable moments where hard decisions are made. I want someone who will work both hard and smart. Someone with a clear focus, a clear vision, and a defined direction. I want someone who doesn't just promise transparency and honesty with easy words, but someone who has lived in a transparent and honest manner. I want someone who seeks solutions to differing points of view in a peaceable manner. I feel as though I have lived my life this way before you for 31 years. And so I humbly ask you for your vote.
Did we start? Yeah. I'm getting into this only because I'm not here to just get elected. It's here to send a message. I'm not here to step on people's toes, just bring you facts and issues that maybe we're all concerned about. We have to stop taking everything so personal. And I'm quite sure I'm going to get tons of attacks and bad mouth and, the nasty girl routine. I'm okay with that because I'm not taking this job personally. We're supposed to be finding solutions. And where we aren't going to get solutions are groups that are hiding behind the scenes. It's not the supervisors, it's not the CAO. It's these little special interest groups that's badgering and putting in their own personal and financial issues. You have one group, the TAA, that's going to sue our county, lose, but also sue individual small family farmers, ones that are developing lands, ones that are bringing jobs to our contractors. These are people that are just hard-working families. They are buying lands and building houses on property that real estate couldn't sell. And now it's selling and it's flourishing. And Weaverville needs to be able to capitalize on their successes, like I said before. This TAA group, the $95,000 was so that they promised they wouldn't pursue the lawsuit when they're doing it as we speak. They're just rewording it and reworking it. What I don't appreciate is a company that's actually bringing jobs to our county, and in the newspaper, they put this woman's picture on here and puts her at risk. But I never did see the pictures of the people that are involved with TAA, the ones that are actually suing the county for money. This lawsuit is not about money. It's about doing the right thing and getting the right ballots and measures on our ballots for us to decide. Not for someone else to decide, but for we as a people to decide. And I'm very passionate about that. And as you can tell, I have no poker face. And I am probably the most transparent person you'll meet. So any questions you ask me about myself, my life, or anything, I can answer you, and I will not take it personal. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to step away from the taxation and all that part for now. I don't think anybody on this board that I know of is represented by any group in this county. If there is, I'm not aware of it. What I will do if I become board of supervisor is, I guess I'm going to hold you guys' feet to the fire. You guys make the decisions. You hold my feet to the fire. It's not done enough. Ask the hard questions. Make me give you the hard answers. Press me. Make this work. It's too easy to be a board of supervisor right now. You get the 17 people show up at every meeting. It's not a broad spectrum of our community. Tonight, we have 100 people here. You know why? It started at night. I'm going to change this board of supervisors meetings till night. Why would we not? I do not want to see anybody lose 20% of their weekly pay to have a 3-minute talk at the board of supervisors meeting. That's what you get. You get 3 minutes, take it or leave it. So I'm going to change the board of supervisors meeting and do the best I can to get them to be in the evening so everybody can participate and not lose money from their paycheck. It's a lot. 20% is a lot. I will also have town hall meetings, one in Douglas City, one in Hayfork, once a month. Show up, make sure I'm doing the right thing, hold my feet to the fire. I'm here to do the right thing. I am the most accessible person you will ever meet, and you will not get any, and I'm just gonna say this because Wayne did, bullshit from me. I'm straight up. You ask me the question, I will give you the answer. I am not hiding anything, I have nothing to hide. Hold my feet to the fire, I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire. You know, something has to change in this next 4 years. It's been too easy to be a board supervisor and get nothing done in 4 years. At the end of my 4 years, you will know who is your board supervisor. I guarantee it. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Before I talk about my closing statement, which I needed more than 3 minutes, I want to address one thing of the multiple things that I heard incorrect. The Board of Supervisors had a full board in 2018. The cannabis community never met with the TAA group and brought. Can you talk my mic time? Okay, can you hear me better? In 2018, the board never had a presentation of any tax on cannabis. In 2017, July 26th, there was a special board meeting that met with 24-hour notice, no input from the community at all. There was one motion on the floor. I seconded that we postpone it till the community could have input. I asked for transparency. The nothingness that has happened since I've been on the board. We have a full team now. We did not. We have 5 new, excited department head. The team accomplishments in the last few years. Team accomplishments. We resurrected the 2015 bond funds and began construction on our 72-bed, $25 million jail project to be completed December 2020. Initiated the programmatic environmental impact report for the county's cannabis program. We began issuing a request for proposals for the very outdated 1978 county general plan. It's happening. Assured completion of the expired housing element and safety element, making our county eligible for millions of dollars in funding. Secured funding through No Place at Home for a 24-unit, low-income, mentally ill housing project. Settled class comp negotiations with skilled trades union, general unit management, and the Deputy Sheriff's Association, which is now fully staffed. Refinanced the county's 2008 debt, decreasing the number of years to pay off, while also reducing the interest from 8% to 3%. We also freed up one of those 2 properties encumbered, while also removing the restrictions of no general fund balance reserve. The county is now free to start building a fund balance once again. We funded OPEB at 100% of the ARC, instantly decreasing the obligation from $64 million to $40 million. Yeah, that's all happened on my watch. I am not the good old boys. I have been civil. I have not slacked in any way. I'm Bobby Chadwick. I have represented District 3. I held 7 meetings in Hayfork, or I participated, and those are not my additional community events. I did multiple meetings in Douglas City last year, one across the street from Mr. Gogan's store. I believe Mr. Gogan and his family are an asset to our community. I believe he's being used and manipulated by the good old boys. I haven't screened my phone, and I've answered all your emails. Vote for me. I am the change. Bobby Chadwick.
Sorry for false accusation. I'm not being manipulated by anybody, nor will I ever be manipulated by anybody.
Okay, I don't think I really need 3 minutes. Mainly, if there happens to be somebody here from District 5, I would love to see you in the foyer afterward. Other than that, I would like to see Trinity County as a place where my kids could could stay when they're grown. At this point in time, we've lost most of a generation and we're losing the next one. And I don't think it's a sustainable trend. Trinity County's average age goes up every year, and our young people are leaving in droves. And I don't think that our county can keep going like this. We have got to do something to bring jobs and industry to our county. I'm one of the ones that loves it here because there isn't very many people, but we have to have some kind of gainful employment or our county is not going to exist.
Thank you again, everybody, for coming. I think one of the most important things, when we pledge allegiance, we pledge allegiance to support the flag, our country, for liberty and justice. And I believe that a lot of people moved here originally for liberty. And we're not seeing liberty here, and we're certainly not seeing justice. And one of the things that is causing that is that we have a government that does not follow the law. The law is supposed to protect us from the government, and the government is using it to target us. They are violating the law. For instance, the elections office does not follow the law. An example is Measure A, and the Board of Supervisors sits as the Board of Elections. We have brought up year after year, election after election, the violations that are happening in the elections office, and nothing seems to happen. That's how they're controlling the county, is they're controlling who gets in. The other thing that they're doing is they're controlling the money. I have met with other supervisors and commissioners in other states even, and I've shown them the books, the money that is here in our population, and they scratch their head and go, there's something wrong there. I have met with one of the top auditors of the state, and I showed the books. You know what they said? Money laundering. That's what's going on in Trinity County with the books. There's something really wrong. We get 125 million increases every year. We have about 13,000 people. Where's that money going? Can you show me? Are we building buildings or roads? Where's it going all this time? Every year, 125 million. We don't follow the law. For instance, there's a law that if you want to build a home yourself or hire a contractor here in Trinity County, you don't have to do all the bells and whistles, for instance, the sprinklers that the rest of California does. It's low-density, owner-built dwellings. They want us to build so we can have homes. But this department, our planning department, he controls, he used to control transportation as well. Everything that we do, we can't build, we can't have businesses, etc. We need to look into that so that the people can do what they want with their own property. We're violating people's property rights with our different departments, and it's up to the Board of Supervisors to take hold of these departments that are abusing we the people. So one of the things we need is housing. You should be able to build it. It used to be called Class K housing. It's against the law that we do not have that in place. It is mandatory that we have it in place for Trinity County. For instance, Mendocino has it, Humboldt has it, but why don't we? We need it more than they do, and yet nothing happens to them. We're not following the law, and that's what needs to happen in Trinity County, and I intend to make that happen if you vote me in, and if the elections office allows me to be voted in. Thank you.
I want to thank all the candidates for being here tonight. I know this can be kind of long and difficult, but I appreciate your stamina and your answering to your honest ability. I want to thank everyone for being here as well, doing your civic duty to make sure you're educated about who you're voting for, and I really want to thank the Soroptimists again for organizing this event. Thank you.